morning. It's 11:42 in our studios in Banjul. Welcome to another special edition here on iAfrica TV. This morning we will talk about matters of the High Court in Banjul. As you know, the court involving Yankuba Touré in the murder of Ousmane Koro Cisse, former Minister of Finance. It's currently happening at the High Court in Banjul. We will talk about that briefly before it starts at 12 noon. In the studio here with me is Ibrahim Presba, senior editor and correspondent of iAfrica TV. Good morning, Press.
Hey, good morning, Julia. Thank you. And one must say that this is a critical moment for the High Court in Banjul, where a ruling is expected on the case involving Yankuba Touré, former junta member.
Interesting, like you said, it's going to be a very interesting and critical court case. But briefly, before we start that, give us a rundown as to, how really it started. Yankuba Touré was a former junta member. We understand that in the TRC, he refused to testify, and as a result, he was taken to the court, but that was that court proceeding did not move forward. But now he is involved in a alleged murder of Ousmane Koro Cisse, former finance minister, which is currently happening, and the ruling is expected to be today at the High Court in Banjul. Give us a brief rundown of the happenings, his case proceeding, and how even he started prior to the arrest.
Yeah, this is almost 1 year, because we could recall that March 2019, when Yankuba Touré appeared before the TRC, actually in June 2019. He refused to give testimony, like you rightly said. He said that he was a junta member, part of the AFPRC government that toppled the former government of Jawara. So the point was that whoever was part of that team or whoever was appointed by that government should not be responsible to any charge, should not be answerable to any legal justification. So they just have to be free. So that immunity invocation he made, was very controversial. So the TRC could not understand, and the public also, there was a lot of noise. So that led to his arrest. And since then, he has been lingering behind bars from one case to another. And now you're talking about the graduation from just the immunity situation or the immunity claims that he, provoke or invoke at the at the TRC to the charges of murder. Almost about 10 charges were later on amended by the the prosecution side, which, today, after 9 witnesses, have testified on the case, it is going on, and the defense counsel is saying that there is no, case to answer.
Yeah, those are live images at the High Court in Banjul there. Our team is currently at the Banjul High Court, and in short a moment, we will expect them to start the program live there at the High Court in the proceedings of Yankuba Touré. But before that, the defense counsel, he did mention last week that there was no case to answer there at the High Court in Banjul. So citing that, because as we all know, that there were 9 witnesses that came to testify there, and most of these witnesses are either drivers, bodyguards, and medical personnel of the former junta, Yankuba Touré. But the defense counsel is saying that there is no case to answer, because the prosecution witness was not able to bring in physical evidence or exhibit to tender in the court to show that, okay, really, Yankuba Touré was really responsible for the murder of Ousmane Koro Cisse.
Yeah, this is the exact situation right now, because looking at the application, it is a traditional method for lawyers in any high-profile case, but after 9 witnesses have testified, so lawyer Cicero, who is defending Yankuba Touré, is saying that it doesn't watch for the court to give time for the defense to make its own presentation. So meaning that if the case is ruled in the favor of defense, that means that's the end of the case today. Yankuba Touré will walk out of court, would walk out of detention centers. But this argument that the defense managed to put forward includes, the physical exhibits. They should not just rely on oral evidence.
Right.
So evidence were presented, especially key among them is that of the Alaji Kanyi, who admitted to taking part in the killing of Koro. You have something to say quickly?
Yeah, they just to say that they've just arrived at the High Court in Banjul there. As you could see in those live images there, they are entering the premises of the High Court in Banjul there. And that is Yankuba Touré there, as you can see in the images. In a short while, we will hear the rulings on the High Court in Banjul in the case involving Yankuba Touré in the murder of former Finance Minister Usman Koro Sise. Yes, Press, you were saying...
Yeah, that it is interesting now. You can see Yankuba Touré is being brought forward to, attend the sessions. And, he is like, a party to the case that today, when the ruling goes by his side, he is leaving the courtrooms and, as a free man. But the prosecution side is also there. We know Abdul Yusuf have also made a lot of argument to say that, the court definitely need to, work in favor of the prosecution side, that, Yankuba Touré is facing serious crimes, charges of murder. So that means, the expectation is now on the judge, who is Justice Ibrahim Ajete, to decide as to what will be the merits of deciding for or against the application of no case submission. So Yakuba, knows that he has been there for 1 year now, and this is no more the time when he used to be part of the council or junta member as a senior executive, but what goes around is more of coming around. But at the end of the day, like the defense counsel is saying that, there is a need for physical evidence to prove that Yankuba really have taken part in the killing of the former finance minister, whose death, came as a situation of public disappointment, that Koro Sise, a young man, to have lost his life in the manner in which, people like Alhaji Kanye testified before the TRC, and even in the case that, he admitted to taking part. But now, so how does this link Yankuba Touré to be directly involved in the killing is the bone of contention. But it's a matter of legal evidence presentation, which the court will have to decide tonight.
Yeah, even one of the junta members, Alaji Kanye, did testify that actually Yankuba Touré took part in the murder of Usman Koro Sise out of the 9 witnesses. And he himself said that he took part in that particular murder of Usman Koro Sise. But out of these 9 witnesses, he's the only one who really came forward to say that, he was present, he participated in the murder of Usman Koro Sise, and he did say that Yankuba Touré also participated in the killing of Usman Koro Sise. But no case submission. In the prosecution side, they said that according to the statement that they filed, is that is a pistol-like weapon that was used to kill Usman Koro Sise. But since June 1995 to date, it's huge.
Those are exactly the issues that the court will have to decide. But at least the important thing about this is the High Court of Banjul, and there are a lot of hope that the court is the right tool to discuss as to whether the prosecution was in a position to be able to produce evidence, irrespective of what the period was or not. So that is in fact what is making this case interesting, because we were notified a while ago that the courtroom is almost full, that our journalist in Banjul right now, Amadou, is not able to talk to us because it is untradition for a journalist to speak from the chambers of the court. So meaning that the public attention to the case is so much that because the argument points are interesting. One of it is the issue of admissibility or provision of exhibits. So a weapon like, what is a weapon like? Is it a pistol or what? So these are to be digested seriously by the court today. And then if the case doesn't go in favor of the defense, that means that it will open a new chapter of hearing again, because then after 9 witnesses from the prosecution side, the defense will be compelled to come and respond to each and every presentation from the other side. This is what the court offers, a balanced presentation from both sides. If you accuse or allege, you must prove, after which the accused also will have chance to equal chance like the one that was presented by the prosecution to defend the cases, to respond to all the charges, without which that means, then you will be underperforming in your case. So meaning that today is a litmus test for the court to decide whether to continue or to end the case now. Either way, it will favor one party. If it ends today, Yankuba is a man of freedom today. But if it goes otherwise, that means the public will have to follow trial all over again. That means to going back through all the allegations and the testimonies from the other side, responding to each of them. That will be a double opportunity for the public to see how the case around the killing of Koro Sise, unfolded. And this is, it is called the New Gambia. We'll have a lot of records to keep from the court proceedings.
Interesting. And even then, the side of the defense counsel, he did mention so many testimonies like Ensa Mendi, PW2, and Ahmad Jangum. All these cases, he did mention that actually have not been converted by the defense, adding that the testimonies show there is prima facie case against the defendant. So he did also actually made some mention of some certain cases which has been ruled in the courts, in the Gambian courts. So, but his contentment is that all the evidences disclose the element of the offense. But what he is really saying that actually there is a murder. At least there is an alleged murder that is happening, but there is no person or anybody who will come forward and say that, okay, this is the evidence that I will tender, like in a document form or exhibit. Okay, this is really something that I will show that as an evidence or proof that, okay, Usman Koro Sise was linked to the death of Yankuba Touré was linked to the death of Usman Koro Sise. So the defense counsel, that was really his stance, that out of all the night witnesses, there is no one who came forward, was able to come forward and they link the death of Usman Koro Sise to that of the Yankuba Touré, not the documents, not the materials that were used or anything to show that Yankuba Touré was really responsible for the death of Usman Koro Sise. But like you've just said, that is left to the High Court today to decide. People will get to know which is which, whether to rule for or against. We will know that in a short while. It's 12:55 in our studios in Banjul. By 12 noon, the court is expected to commence there at Banjul High Court. As you can see that everybody is there keenly waiting, media personnel and other people who are there. It could be family, relatives or friends and people from the state. They are all there waiting for the judgment to commence. Press.
It is jam-packed. The court in Banjul, as you can see, is jam-packed. So
shows the intensity of the case.
Sure, it's so high that, this is something involving Yankuba Touré, not only as a person, but as a junta member. Yankuba played active role in the, coming of the APRC rule. I mean, it used to be AFPRC, the Provisional Ruling Council, which graduated to the APRC government. And then with all the allegations and counter-allegations which came as a form of, commissions from the Jane Commission to the TRC, you have a lot of transformation going on. These are, transitional justice parameters, including the court now is involved case. So this is the first of its high-profile case concerning the people of the junta. So also we know part of the allegations about the killing of Koro, other members such as Edward Singate, such as, Peter Singate and others are all mentioned. So those ones are yet to be, appear before a court like this. So Yankuba's appearance is more of going to give signal as to what the way forward about seeking justice for this country will be. And I think the court is treating the matter very fairly. That is to give both sides the chance to present its case to see whether, any information around it is, revealed, so that people will know the truth. People will also, appreciate the fact that the judiciary is independent. So these are all argument. And most importantly, like you mentioned about the argument of the defense that the Yankuba is not directly linked, or evidence are not presented that is linking Yankuba directly to the killing of Koro. So the prosecutor, who is Yusuf, is saying that it is a factual note to say that Koro is dead in 1995. He is no longer alive. So that means supersedes oral presentations. So looking at that now, how will the court respond to that? Because the defense is saying that you cannot rely on only oral presentation to convict someone on a murder case. But now the prosecutor is making clear that from his point of view that Koro was killed.
Yeah,
is dead,
which he said is a fact.
Yeah, it's a
fact. And then the autopsy, it's not really essential here. Hence, all the 9 witnesses actually attest to the fact that Koro was actually killed. But whether he was linked directly to Yankuba Toure, that is where the court will really come in.
That's the key role of the court now, and that's why the case is going on. And today, like we said, the place is jam-packed, and then the both sides are expected to be present there. And since we have our Amadou, who is doing his best in the courtroom today to gather facts and the proceedings or the judgment from Justice Ibrahim Jete, it's a matter of minutes or hours for the public to know what happens.
Definitely, this is the special edition live on iAfrica TV here in Banjul. As you can see, those are the images. Like Press said, the High Court in Banjul is jam-packed with people there. So in a short while, we will just go to Banjul and see what is really happening there at the High Court there, so that we get to know her first-hand information as to the proceedings in Banjul. But Press, like you've said, you mentioned earlier on, this case will serve as a determinant for the Gambian people to restore the trust they have lost for the judiciary over the years, because during Jammeh's time, so many people have been saying that the judiciary have lost its credibility and people no more have trust in the judiciary. But I believe that with the case of Usman Yankuba Toure, really, this will really tell a lot as to the stance of our judiciary when it comes to our judicial independence and all that. So because this is a high-profile case involving a very prominent individual in the Gambia who served as a local government minister for years, and who also was a junta member of the AFPRC ruling government. So really, this will really determine a lot.
So looking at also the circumstances preceding the case today, we are talking about it. So the court has done a lot, because around the 1st of July, there was a presentation or application before the court whether to refer the case to the Supreme Court or not. So this same court ruled, under the same judge, ruled that although Yankuba and the Defense Counsel are requesting for transfer of the case, but actually they did not give any specific constitutional provision or section to rely on to defend the immunity claim that Yankuba was asking for, not to appear before the High Court. So for interpretation purpose, they requested for Supreme Court, but the court insisted that it has jurisdiction to hear the case, and it would not need the Supreme Court in this aspect, because that would have been necessary for the court to do if there was a specific reference from the constitution. So, but what was implied was, constitutional immunity. The other aspect will involve also the specific, the bail condition, whether, Yankuba was to be granted bail or not, so the court made it clear that these are murder charges, and then at a time when additional 10 charges of murder were added by the prosecution side, so meaning that the court has been making decisions. So in fact, the third one was whether there was supposed to be adjournment or not before the summer recession, so last year's summer recession. So the court decided on this. So over and over, the court has been making decisions, vesting on its powers to prove to the public and for the sake of justice that this is before the matter is before a court, and when a matter is before a court, it is now up to the court to prove public trust on the court, which is very important arm of government, like the judiciary, like the the executive and the National Assembly. So today will be no exception. So whatever the result, it is expected that it will be in the best interest of justice today.
That is really interesting there. But just quickly, if Yankuba is either innocent, declared innocent or guilty, what are the charges for him if in case he was pronounced guilty of the crime of the murder of Usman Koro Sise? What is really involved there? Some of the charges.
So the charges are very serious because there is no justification so far about the killing of Usman Koro. In fact, no one have pleaded guilty to it, and no one has been proven guilty for the killing of Koro. But murder, in its nature, is a serious crime, and then even without the punishment behind it, but public perception or the understanding of public that their own citizen was murdered by someone who is also a citizen, that will be a hard pill to digest. So that is one aspect of it. But today the situation is not about whether he will be guilty or not, but whether the case will proceed or not, because the defense is saying that irrespective of what the witnesses have said so far, they don't feel that Yankuba has a case to answer. And then for the court to say yes, to agree with that, means Yankuba will be a free man today. But the otherwise will be that a continuation of the case. Then as we are covering today, we'll continue to cover the case of Yankuba today for the coming months, if not years.
Interesting there. You reminded that this is the special edition here on iAfrica TV, and we are talking about matters of Yankuba Toure, who was alleged to have involved in the murder of Usman Koro Sise, a former finance minister in the Gambia here, who was murdered in June 1995. We will just briefly go to Banjul and look at live images there, at the live images in Banjul, and then we will come back. Seems like we having some technical issues there in Banjul, but briefly, we will just go there and then see what is really happening.
In the court, it is tradition in the Gambian courts that you don't broadcast the proceedings. So normally journalists go there with only their notebook. They are not even supposed to record. So these are some of the situations, unless and until when it is pre-negotiated, which we know is a very complicated situation. So we understand Amadou is already in the court, so he would have loved to give us live updates, but looking at the situation on the ground, so it is only after the trial when they are out of the court, then the Obi-Wan will provide the live broadcast. And it is typical of court proceedings in the Gambia that gadgets, like electronic gadgets by the media, or there is not even space for you to speak from the courtroom. There are normally not that much big places which is only there for the court officials, the judges, and the parties from both sides, so will be catered for. So that's the situation, and it's now a matter of time. Let's see what the court will decide anytime soon, but it should be very historic occasion for the court to decide today.
Well, interesting. Press, we're still on that, so we will, that is High Court in Banjul, and briefly, we'll just go there and then give maybe few seconds of that. We will just wrap up here and then wait for the proceedings at the High Court and know what is really happening there, and then we'll be back in the studio to give you more updates as to the court proceedings.
ñu leen di nuyu ku nekk sa tur ak sa sant néew bu bàyyeekoo TRRC Truth Reconciliation and Reparations Commission ngir fàttali leen rek TRRC moom lañ jox doole sàkku dëgg ak taxawal dëgg si wàllum jafe-jafe not ak toroxtaane yi tegoon nit ñi bàyyeekoo July 1994 ba January 2017 si wàllum liggéey ngir sàkku dëgg nag foog ñu am képp ku nga xamante ne nii bokkoon na si nit ñu nga xamante ne leen notoon toroxal leen teg leen ay ñaawteef ñu leen di ñaan ngeen ñoo joxe seen statement yi waaye ñu leen di wax tamit ne képp ku nga xamante ne ni sa kàddu wala télé wala si caméra wala si nit ñu bari loolu yépp ne la ko mën a rafetalal ñu defal la ko si secret kon ñu leen di ñaan yéen ñépp képp ku nga xamante ni jànku wante nga toroxtande wala ñaawteef bu bàyyeekoo boppu jamono ñu lay ñaan nga ñëw joxe sa statement bi képp ku nga xamante ne ni bëgg ngaa ñëw joxe sa statement callal Victim Support Unit si 770 4988 770 4988